Konnichiwa.
Hi everyone.
Konbanwa.
That is speaking Japanese because we are actually in Japan.
We are, well, first off, watashi no namae wa Diana desu. My name is Diana.
And I'm Nick.
And we are TeamRCIA. And this is our 7th day in Japan. And tomorrow will be our last day in Japan. We're spending our last evening here in Tokyo. So what are some of the things that we've done these past 7 days, Nick?
Gosh, one of the most powerful things we did was we went to a fire drum ceremony at a Shinto shrine. Shinto shrine, which we did not understand. But the sense of connecting with the infinite, of reaching out. There was a sense of prayer that was very obvious, and a sense of connecting with the divine, and that part felt familiar, and it felt familiar in the sense that the way that we connect is through the incarnational symbols, the stuff of our lives is how we reach out to God, and that was kind of clear, even though we didn't understand the ritual. That part was clear in the ritual.
And one of the most amazing things for me in the ritual that we experienced was just the bigness of everything.
Yeah.
And when I say bigness, I don't mean just big things, but the extremes of huge sounds from the taiko drums to just the quietest bells. And the extremes kind of made all of us listen even more carefully for the small sound. And so just seeing the use of and experiencing the use of sound to draw us into the prayer was just quite amazing.
Yeah.
So if you're ever in the, the Fugagawa Fudo Temple in Tokyo, every day the monks there invite everyone to come and watch and participate in this fire drum ceremony.
So another ritual that we participated in with more secular feel was we went to the fish market.
Yes,
the outer fish market, and that is just this massive market. The tour book says do not go before 10 a.m. because all the commercial restaurant people are there, and they actually bid like an auction on the seafood and the other kinds of food there, and they so crowd into this place. It's a massive area, and yet it's all crowded in with all the restaurateurs. And so the tour books say to the tourists, don't go there until after they're done because you won't be able to get in anywhere.
But so all of these food stalls, and you can try any of the things there. It reminded me of going to Costco and sampling all the different kinds of foods that you see. But this was a lot better than Costco. And so we had one of our first sushi meals there at a Sushi Boat restaurant. Mm-hmm. And we made all of the mistakes culturally of how to order and how everything, but it was so fun.
Yeah. So then, let's see, what else do we do? There's a giant tower that rises up out of the center of Tokyo, and called Tokyo Tower. And so we went up that, a very touristy thing. All the tourists do that.
And one of the remarkable things that you'll notice when you come to Tokyo especially is just some of the shopping districts are just flooded with people and shops and huge stores, multi-level stores, and
it seems like everywhere, which doesn't, in a sense, really doesn't seem that different than New York or Los Angeles, but it is in a way. It just seems like more and larger and bigger and louder in a way. But it was fascinating in that sense.
So after 4 days in Tokyo, we went to Kyoto, which is a completely different feel.
Yeah, very low key.
Yes, so a lot more traditional places. Everywhere you went, even in the city, the women and men were wearing their kimonos. on their way to the temples or the shrines. We watched several of them do purification ceremonies before they would enter into the shrine. And so it was some of the purification rituals involved water, washing your hands with water, cleansing yourself with incense.
If it's traditionally, from what I've read, if it's a Shinto shrine, then the usual purification ritual is with water. And if it is a Buddhist temple, then the purification ritual is with incense. And some holy sites are combinations of both, so they have both the water purification and the incense purification.
And Monday was Nicholas's birthday.
Yes.
And so we went in Kyoto to the Fushimi Inari temple or shrine, which has 1,000 or so torii gates, these bright orange colored wooden gates, and you ascend the mountain through all of these gates that wind throughout the mountain. And we got there right at sunset and didn't make it all the way to the top because it's a long path, but it was quite remarkable and a sacred action to do that.
And the erection of a gate is an act of thanksgiving for prosperity. So all of the gates were donated by various businesses over hundreds and hundreds of years in gratitude for the success of their business. And it's I guess there's not an exact count, but they say it's around 1,000. We probably went through 500 of them or so. They're just one right after another, right up against each other, and they're huge. They must be 10 feet tall, most of them.
Mm-hmm. And some of them very small, and so all different sizes.
Yeah.
But as you're walking through, you'll also see family shrines, and so throughout, family members would be there caring for their family shrine, saying prayers, ringing bells, and it was a privilege to be part, kind of an outsider, but to feel welcomed in that area of the sacred part of their lives.
And we've been eating like crazy. I can't even remember all the different kinds of Japanese specialties that we've had. I've read it in one of the tour books that if you try a different Japanese cuisine every day for a month, you won't repeat yourself. There's so many. And so we've tried probably a dozen or so by now, maybe not quite that many.
One of the highlights was in Osaka. We took the Shinkansen, we took a train down to Osaka from Kyoto. And if you've ever watched the Netflix series called Street Food, you might remember an episode with Toyo-san at Izakaya Toyo in Osaka. And so we actually went and had dinner there outside at the stand-up tables.
And Izakaya is a casual bar or food stand, and this was a outdoor food stand, and there are maybe 10 tables or so, and they're waist high, and people were standing around on our table. There were 6 people standing around the table, and as soon as a spot opens up, they bring somebody from the line over. There's a line of folks waiting to get into the izakaya.
But we got to meet Toyo-san,
and
that was just a remarkable experience. And his joy just comes through. And sometimes I wish all of us would exude that kind of joy, because he really just brought everyone in. And there were people from all over, not just Japanese, but from Australia, from China, lots of Americans.
I think somebody from Iran was there.
Yes, so there were so many.
From the Philippines besides you, actually from the Philippines.
And then today we ended our time in Kyoto.
Oh, can we go back to the izakaya?
Oh, yes.
I just wanted to mention how Toyo-san cooks his food. He uses a blowtorch, which isn't the right word, because a lot of the food stand people use blowtorches, those little propane torches you get at a hardware store. Really what he uses is a flamethrower. It's huge. And with his left hand, he's flaming the fish on the grill. In his right hand, he's actually sticking his hand into the flame to turn the fish over, and then he dips his hand in a bucket of ice water and then flips the fish some more, dips it in ice water, flips the fish. And he's just talking to the customers while he's doing all this. It's crazy.
So go if you can.
Yeah.
If you can't, watch the episode. And then finally, today we learned, we went to cooking school.
Yeah, we went to school.
And Keiko-san taught us how to make Japanese omelet.
Yeah.
And donburi dishes, 2 different kinds. Nick had a sashimi donburi, which I'm totally forgetting the names of. And I had a what they call a parent-child or chicken and egg donburi, which literally had chicken and egg in there. And it was just wonderful.
And Diana cooked.
Yes, I don't cook, but I tried it out today, and it was just so wonderful to try a different style of cooking and different cuisine, and to learn some of the culture and the customs of living and being Japanese.
Yeah, before the actual cooking started, Keiko-san took us on a tour of the market.
Nishiki Market.
And it's a 700 or 800-year-old outdoor market, and we actually bought the food there that we we're going to cook, and she showed us many other foods that we didn't cook that day, but were just very interesting.
But just so all of this is just to reflect on it a little bit. Is to learn about Japan is so much different or so much more involved than just reading things out of a book.
Yeah, we read about Japan before we came. We read some of the history, some of the customs. Diana actually learned a little bit of the language. But it's not the same as being here, being immersed in it, and what you sort of learn from watching and doing and following, and what you learn in your heart and your bones, and just the way your body moves, because there are like so many people here. You can't walk like you do at home. You have to change the way you walk. You have to change the way your body interacts with the environment.
Yeah, and even we just checked into this hotel, our last hotel, and they have something here called a Yukata, which is a Japanese, more casual style robe. It's like a kimono, but it's more casual. And so we thought, we got to try these on. And as soon as I put mine on, I felt different. I felt like I had to walk differently or be different. This kind of sense that we're really putting on a new identity, even in the kinds of things that we wear. And isn't that what we do with our catechumens?
Yeah, so of course, being who we are, we're just connecting this with the catechumen all the time about apprenticeship, about putting on Christ, about how the culture exudes a spirituality, and how the culture of our church, the culture of our Christian community, teaches the catechumens who Christ is through the spirit of the community.
So hopefully this has been interesting for you.
It's been interesting for
us. Or at
us.
least amusing for you. But also giving us all something to think about, how when we introduce people to Christ, we are introducing them to something more than just history and facts and dogmas and teachings. But we're immersing them into a new identity.
We should mention before we go about the Mass we went to. We did go to a Mass in Japanese. It was at a Jesuit parish, so they have Mass in Japanese, Spanish, English, and I think there was another language, maybe Chinese, I don't remember. But English for sure, but we didn't go to the English one. We went to the Japanese one. And they had
third Sunday of Advent.
Third Sunday of Advent. They had glory and praise hymnals in the pews for the English speakers. But they didn't use them at the Japanese Mass. And
they used organ, and they had a choir.
Organ and a choir, right. And so many of the same mistakes we make back home in the liturgies they made in this liturgy. Many of the good things we do back home, they also did in this liturgy. But the one thing that connected us most of all on this third Sunday of Advent between Japan and the United States was almost everywhere you go, on the third Sunday of Advent, the priest will explain why he's wearing pink vestments. and even though we couldn't understand Japanese, we knew that's what he was doing, because he, held out the vestment kind of and started talking about the clothes and,
Yes.
So that was common.
Yeah, and he talked a lot. We could tell because we heard Papa-san And so he was talking about Papa Francisco.
Yeah, the Pope had just been here,
yes,
a couple
Pope
weeks ago,
Francis.
3 weeks
yes.
ago.
And so really this country is a blessed country and full of so many surprises and so many beautiful people and beautiful ways of living and being with one another. So hopefully in this Advent Christmas season, especially as you have so many people maybe coming to your churches this Christmas time who might not be familiar with what we do, we can maybe be more aware that they're there and to be a welcoming presence, an encouraging presence, and to really put our best foot forward and our best example so that they can be immersed in the beauty of Christ as well.
So tomorrow night we're off to the Philippines, and so we'll try to do a Facebook Live or two while we're in the Philippines. We're going to be there how long?
20 days.
20 days.
So that'll we're going to really get immersed in that culture there.
Yeah.
So,
all right, everyone. Well, have a wonderful Christmas if we don't get in touch with you before then. And thank you for all the great work you're doing and all you do to help enculturate the seekers into our Christian faith.
Arigato gozaimasu. Sayonara.
Konnichiwa. Sayonara.
Bye.